A child called a stranger daddy on a full flight, and somehow he didn't move. Richard Hayes hated kids, hated noise, hated middle seats. So when the flight attendant pointed to 14C, between a woman and her squirmy daughter, he froze. Alicia looked up, polite but firm. I think you are in the middle. We're 14A and B. He sighed. No empty seats, no upgrade today. He sat down, jaw tight. The little girl leaned over, wide brown eyes staring. Hi, Daddy. The words hit like turbulence. Richard turned slowly. Excuse me? She giggled. You look like him. He forced a dry smile, then turned to the window, but her eyes... Too familiar, and for a man who trusted logic, something had just broken through it. Richard pressed the call button. A flight attendant appeared, bright smile, fake concern. I'd like to change my seat, she checked the manifest. I'm sorry, sir, we're fully booked. He leaned in. First class? She shook her head. All taken. This is a full flight. Richard clenched his jaw. I paid for peace, not playtime. She smiled again, tighter this time. We'll make sure everyone's comfortable. As she walked off, the little girl kicked her shoes off. One landed near his foot. He stared at it like it was a threat. His passengers across the aisle chuckled. One whispered, Looks just like him. Richard straightened, pulled out a magazine. Anything to block them out. Next to him, the girl hummed. Her elbow brushed his. He didn't flinch, but his grip on the armrest tightened. No way out. Not today. Not from her. Not from whatever this was. Alicia glanced at Richard, voice calm. I'm really sorry. She doesn't usually talk to strangers. He didn't respond. Eyes fixed ahead, jaw locked. Alicia reached into her bag, pulled out a small teddy bear. Its ear was torn, one eye missing. The stuffing showed at the seam. Here, Lily, she whispered. Talk to Mr. Buttons, not the nice man. Lily hugged the bear tight. She pouted, then smiled. Okay, Mommy. Richard finally looked down. The bear, old, worn, clearly loved, rested on the girl's lap. It leaned sideways, like it had been through everything with her. She started brushing its fur with her fingers, humming again. Richard shifted slightly, pretending to adjust his watch. His eyes caught hers for half a second. She smiled. He looked away. But the bear stayed in view, soft, silent, watching him. Lily pulled a crayon from the seat pocket. Alicia handed her a folded sheet of paper. Draw something for Grandma, baby. Minutes passed. Silence settled. Then Lily turned to Richard. Want to see? He hesitated. She held the paper up. 3 stick figures. One tall with gray hair and a tie. One with curly hair and a pink dress. One small, holding both their hands. Underneath, me, Mommy, Daddy. Richard stared at the drawing. His jaw didn't move, but his eyes did. Studying the child's smile on paper. He looked at Alicia. She wasn't watching. Then back at the drawing. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Nice. Colors, he said flatly. Lily beamed, and the paper stayed in his hand just a second too long. Alicia broke the quiet. Lily's never flown before. She's excited. I used to be too, back when I traveled for work. Richard didn't respond. Still holding the drawing, she continued, casual. I was in San Diego 6 years ago, medical conference, first time I'm out of state. His hand froze mid-turn of the magazine. I was still in school, she added. It was overwhelming, but worth it. I met someone who really changed how I saw things. She looked out the window. Just one night, one conversation, it stayed with me. Richard stared forward. The hum of the engine got louder. He didn't ask questions, but something shifted. The date, the city, it lined up too neatly. He folded the paper in his lap slower this time, and for the first time he blinked like someone trying to remember what he swore to forget. The hum of the plane faded. Richard's eyes stayed open, but they weren't in the cabin anymore. A rooftop bar, San Diego, 6 years back. He remembered the city lights, soft, golden, distant. A young woman beside him laughing into her wine glass. She wore a lanyard, medical badge, Alicia B. student. They talked for hours, about medicine, about burnout, about nothing. She said he seemed tired. He said she looked fearless. He remembered her asking, what if one night it could change everything? He never answered. They didn't exchange numbers, only a smile before parting. Back in the present, Richard blinked. He turned slightly, just enough to see Alicia. She was watching Lily sleep. Same calm face, same eyes. The past had just walked into his row and sat beside him. The plane landed. Seatbelts clicked. People rushed to stand. Richard stayed still, then grabbed his briefcase and stepped into the aisle. "Have a good day," Alicia said politely. He nodded without looking. Lily peeked over the seat. "Bye, Daddy." Several heads turned. Someone chuckled. Richard walked faster. Out of the jet bridge. Through the terminal. He didn't stop. He needed space. Silence. Logic. But footsteps echoed behind him, small, fast. "Wait!" Lily called out. "You forgot this!" He turned. She held up the crumpled drawing. Her face lit up like she'd found treasure. "I want you to keep it." Alicia caught up, out of breath. "Lily, sweetie, give the man space." Richard took the paper. Brief nod. No words. He walked off again. But this time... He didn't throw the drawing away. He folded it, clean, careful, and slid it into his jacket pocket. Richard sat alone in the back of his car, engine idle, city moving outside the window. He pulled out his phone, dialed. "Lena, I need a name run." His assistant answered fast. "Name?" "Alicia Brooks, early 30s, possibly a nurse, lives with a 6-year-old daughter." A pause. "Is this personal?" "Just find her," he said flatly. Another pause. "All right. Anything else?" "She was at a medical conference in San Diego 6 years ago. Look for records." He hung up. Silence returned. He stared at the child's drawing, still folded in his hand, then slowly opened it. 3 figures again. His stick figure now somehow looked more familiar. He folded it once more, tighter this time. This wasn't curiosity anymore. It was something heavier, something he didn't want to name just yet. Richard's phone buzzed. A message from Lena. "Found her. Sent a photo." He opened it. Alicia, outside a small clinic, smiling, tired, real. Next to her, Lily, mid-laugh, caught in motion, hair messy, one dimple deeper than the other. He zoomed in, slowly, carefully, the eyes, same almond shape, same sharp crease under the brow, the mouth, tight corners, slight curve, then the nose, straight, just like his. Richard's face didn't change, but his breathing did. He closed the image, then opened it again. Zoomed further, back to the eyes, still his. He set the phone down, looked out the window. A reflection stared back, older, sharper, but undeniably the same. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The photo said it for him. Richard stood outside the clinic, across the street, watching. Alicia stepped out first. Lily followed, skipping, the teddy bear in one hand. They waited for the bus. Wind tugged at Lily's hair. A few strands blew loose. She dropped the bear, bent to grab it. Richard crossed the street. Calm, precise. As she stood up, he knelt beside her, picked up the bear. "Careful," he said. She smiled. "Thanks." A strand of hair clung to the bear's fabric. He handed it back gently, then turned and walked off. No word to Alicia, no glance. Back in the car, he sealed the hair in a small envelope. No shaking hands, no second guessing, just silence. And a next step. He texted Lena. "Send this to the lab, rush." Then leaned back, closed his eyes, waiting for the truth to speak. Richard waited in the car again. Same spot, different hour. Through the window he watched Alicia inside the clinic. No suit, no heels, just scrubs and quiet focus. She helped an elderly man into a chair, one hand steadying his back, the other adjusting his oxygen line. She smiled, not out of duty, but out of something else. The man touched her wrist gently. "You remind me of my daughter." Alicia nodded. "I'll be back in 10 minutes with your meds." She turned, then paused to fix the blanket of another patient. No cameras, no praise, just small unnoticed kindness. Richard watched the scene unfold. No tension in her steps, no edge in her voice, only calm, only care. It wasn't what he expected. And that unsettled him more than anything. For 3 days, Richard watched, always from a distance, morning to evening, clinic, bus stop, home, repeat. Alicia's life was simple, quiet, structured. Lily walked beside her, always talking, always smiling. They shared sandwiches on a park bench. Alicia wiped ketchup from Lily's chin, then kissed her forehead. At night, Alicia read to her from a second-hand book. Richard saw it through the window. Same story, same rhythm. Day 2. Rain fell. Alicia gave Lily her only umbrella. Got soaked. Never complained. Day 3. Lily drew chalk hearts on the sidewalk. Alicia joined her, knees on concrete, laughing softly. Richard didn't move. He just watched. And slowly something cracked. It wasn't guilt. Not yet. But something else. A quiet ache he hadn't felt in years. The envelope sat unopened for hours. Richard paced his office. Lights off, phone off. Finally he sat, hand steady, heart not. He peeled the flap back, slid out the paper. Paternity result 99.8% match. He stared. No blink, no breath. then slowly read it again, every word. He laid the paper flat on the desk. No excuses now, no maybe, no doubt. Lily Brooks was his daughter. Not metaphor, not theory, his. Richard stood, moved to the window, looked out but didn't see anything. His hand went to his chest almost on instinct. For years, he had everything except this. And now the one thing he never planned for was the one thing that made everything else feel small. Alicia stepped out of the clinic, keys in hand. Richard waited near the curb. She froze. You followed me? He held up an envelope. It's not a guess anymore. She's mine. Alicia's face didn't move. Only her grip on the keys tightened. I don't want your money, she said quietly. That's not what I'm offering. She cut him off. Then what is this? Guilt? Control? Richard swallowed. Responsibility. She shook her head. You didn't even remember me. And I do now. That doesn't change what I had to do alone. A pause. He handed her a check. She looked down, didn't touch it. Take care of her, he said. I already do, she replied, then turned and walked away. The check stayed in his hand, uncashed, unwanted. Alicia didn't walk far. She stopped near the gate. Richard followed slower this time. She turned, eyes steady, voice low. I didn't know who you were. He stayed quiet. That night in San Diego, you didn't give your real name. No number, nothing. Richard looked down. Memory stung sharper now. I thought maybe you were married. Or just careless. I never planned to see you again. Her voice cracked, barely. When I found out I was pregnant, I told myself it was just mine, my choice, my weight to carry. He opened his mouth, closed it again. You think I hid her from you, she said. But truth is, I never knew who to tell. For once Richard had no answer, only silence, and the quiet, heavy truth between them. That night, Alicia tucked Lily into bed. The room was dim, books stacked by the nightstand. Lily held her bear tight, voice small. Mommy? Yes, baby? That man, the one from the plane. Alicia paused. Mr. Hayes? Lily nodded. Is he mad at me? No, sweetie. Why would you think that? Lily looked down. He never smiled. He didn't say goodbye. Alicia brushed hair from her daughter's face. He just didn't know what to say. Lily hesitated. Does he not like me? The question hung there. Alicia blinked fast, then whispered, It's not about liking, honey. Some people just don't know how to show it. Lily pulled the blanket up to her chin. But I liked him. Then closed her eyes, and Alicia just sat there watching her breathe. Still, silent, breaking inside. Richard packed fast. No hesitation, just motion. He called for his driver, booked the next flight out, back to silence, back to control. But as the car pulled away, he saw something. A girl on the sidewalk, drawing with chalk, not Lily, just a stranger. But the hair, the dimples. It flashed. He blinked, looked away. In the airport lounge, a child laughed. Same pitch, pitch, same rhythm. He clenched his jaw. At the gate, a flight attendant offered a drink. Her name tag read A. Brooks. He froze, then turned it down. On the plane, he sat alone. Window seat. Across the aisle, a little girl slept with a bear in her arms. Not the same one, but close enough. He closed his eyes and saw Lily's drawing again. 3 figures, still holding hands, still waiting for him to belong. Late evening, street empty, lights low. Richard stepped out of the car, envelope in one hand, something soft in the other. He walked to Alicia's door, stopped. No knock, no words, just a pause. He placed a small teddy bear on the doormat. New but not perfect. Soft brown with one stitched ear. Beside it, a sealed envelope. No name outside. Inside, a savings book. $250,000 deposited. Labeled only for Lily. No letter, no signature, just what he could give. He stood there for a moment longer. Looked up at the quiet window. No lights, no movement. He turned back toward the car, didn't look behind, but as he stepped in, his hand brushed the bear's fur one last time. And for once, he didn't feel like he was buying forgiveness. Just leaving something that mattered. Morning light crept across the porch. Alicia opened the door to take out the trash, then froze. At her feet, a teddy bear, not Lily's, new, gentle in color, hand-stitched ear. Beside it, an envelope. No name, no markings. She looked around. Empty street, no sign of him. She picked it up, opened it slowly. Inside out, a bank book. A single line written on a yellow note. For the years I missed. No signature. Her breath caught, just for a second. She walked back inside, sat at the kitchen table. Lily played nearby, unaware. Alicia placed the bear in her daughter's lap. Lily smiled. He brought this? Alicia didn't answer. She just nodded once. Small, quiet. Forgiveness never asked for. But somehow I'm heard. 1 week later, a letter arrived. Plain envelope, no return address. Alicia opened it slowly, expecting another bill. Inside, an acceptance letter. Lily had been awarded a full scholarship to a private elementary school nearby, top-ranked, fully covered. Her hand trembled slightly as she reread it. No contact listed, just a line at the bottom. She deserves the best start. No name, no logo. Alicia sat in silence, then looked at Lily, coloring at the table. Sweetheart, she said, voice low, how would you like a new school? Lily looked up, eyes wide. With books and a garden? Alicia smiled gently. Yes, exactly that. She folded the letter, placed it in the drawer with the savings book. Still no calls, still no face. But someone, somewhere, believed in Lily, and that was enough. The clinic was busier than usual. Nurses moved quickly. Alicia checked charts at the front desk. Dr. Lang approached, holding a memo. Big news, we just got funded. Alicia looked up. From who? He shrugged. Anonymous donor, enough to build a new pediatric wing. She blinked. You're kidding. He handed her the paper. Bottom line, donation issued by Hayes Foundation. Her hand paused. Eyes locked on the name. Lang smiled. Whoever it is, they've got a heart. Alicia nodded slowly, folding the memo. They do. Later that day, she passed by the empty hallway set to become the children's wing. She stood there for a moment, quiet, then touched the wall gently. Not as a nurse, not even as a mother, but as someone who understood what it meant. To give without needing to be seen. It was a Saturday afternoon. Alicia took Lily to the park. Lily ran ahead to the swings. Alicia followed slower, scanning the crowd. That's when she saw him. Richard. Sitting on a bench. A small boy beside him, maybe 4. They weren't talking, just sharing ice cream. Quiet. Still. Then the boy's mother called him. He ran off without a word. Richard stayed seated. Alicia approached, unsure why. You have a son? She asked softly. He didn't look up. I did. Silence. Then, he passed, years ago, heart defect. Alicia sat beside him. Nothing else needed saying. They watched the children play in silence. Richard glanced toward Lily, and then back to the ground. Sometimes I wonder if I would have been any good at it. Alicia replied, sometimes just being there, is already enough. They sat on the same bench, breeze moving slow. Lily laughed in the distance. Alicia watched her, then looked at Richard. You're not who I expected. He gave a faint smile. Neither are you. A pause. I wasn't ready, he said. Not then, not even now. But you showed up, Alicia replied. Sometimes that's more than enough. He looked down at his hands. What if I mess it up? You will, she said softly. We all do. Another silence. Then, I don't know how to be a father, Richard said, but I want to learn. Alicia didn't speak right away, then quietly, she's still waiting for you to try. Richard nodded. Not big, just once. And for the first time. He didn't feel like a stranger to her anymore. Lily ran from the swings, hair wild, eyes bright. She stopped in front of Richard, breathing hard. Can I sit with you? He nodded. She climbed onto the bench beside him, close like she'd done it 100 times. Then, without a word, she leaned into him. Small arms wrapped around his waist. Daddy, she whispered. His breath caught. He didn't look at Alicia, didn't say a thing, just placed his hand on her back. Awkward at first, then steady. She didn't pull away. He closed his eyes. Not because he was overwhelmed, but because something inside finally went still. Lily looked up. Are you staying now? He answered without thinking. Yes, if you'll let me. She nodded once, then leaned back in, and that was it. No big speech, just a child who knew and a man who finally understood. The table was small, simple. 3 plates. Alicia served pasta. Lily poured water, spilling a little. Richard sat across from them, unsure where to place his hands. Lily giggled. You don't eat pasta often, do you? He shook his head. Not like this. She handed him a napkin. You will now. They ate slowly. No rush, no raised voices, just small talk and small bites. After dinner, Alicia brought out an old camera. "Let's take one," she said. Richard hesitated, but Lily pulled him in between them. Click. Later, the photo printed on cheap paper. 3 faces, slightly uneven smiles, but at the eyes, especially the smallest pair, held something whole. Lily taped the photo on the fridge. "This is our team," she said, and no one corrected her. The school hosted a small charity event. Art from every student lined the walls. Parents wandered through, chatting quietly. Richard stood near the back, hands in his pockets, watching. Lily's class was next. Each child had drawn someone who makes them feel safe. When it was her turn, Lily walked to the front. She held up a bright drawing, 3 figures, but the center one stood tall, gray hair, a blue tie. "This is my dad," she said. "He didn't know he was my dad at first, but he's really good at it now." A few parents chuckled. Alicia smiled from the corner, tears held back. Richard looked down, then up again. No one had ever called him that. Not like this, not where others could hear. Lily placed the drawing on the board, labeled in crayon, "Me and my daddy," and nothing else needed to be said. The room was still clapping when Lily stepped down. Richard didn't move at first, just stared at the drawing, then slowly he walked to the front. The teacher looked confused. "Sir?" "I'd like to say something," he said. Voice steady, eyes locked on Lily. She looked up, waiting. Richard cleared his throat. "I've done a lot in my life, built things, sold things, made money." He paused. "But nothing has made me feel more like a man than what I'm about to say." He turned to Lily. "She is my daughter." The room went quiet. Lily smiled, walked to him. He knelt as she hugged him. "I'm proud of you," he whispered. She held tighter. And for once he wasn't Richard Hayes the businessman. He was just her dad. And it was enough. The candles flickered. Lily leaned over the cake, grinning wide. "Make a wish, Daddy." Richard laughed under his breath. "I thought you were the one turning 7. She nodded. "I get a wish. You get a family." Alicia smiled as she lit the last candle. They all leaned in for the photo. Click. Later, the printed picture sat on the table. Soft lighting, 3 faces close. Lily in the middle, icing on her cheek. Alicia to her left, Richard to her right, all smiling. And somehow, same chin, same dimple, same spark in the eyes. Lily picked up the photo, tilted her head. "We look like a real family." Alicia looked at Richard. He didn't speak, just reached for the photo, held it carefully, because for once, he saw it too. The living room was quiet, dinner plates stacked, laughter fading into background hum. Lily lay asleep on the couch, arms wrapped around her bear. Alicia covered her with a blanket. Richard watched from the doorway. No words, just presence. Then a quiet voiceover settled in, low, steady, warm. "Family isn't always planned. It's not always perfect. It's perfect. Sometimes it's found in the middle of a flight you didn't want to take, beside people you never meant to meet. But it says when it finds you, when it chooses you, don't run. Because family is where you belong." Richard sat down beside Lily, looked at the photo still resting on the table. 3 faces, 1 truth. He didn't need to say it out loud. He was home. Night fell. The lights dimmed. Richard stood by the window, watching Lily sleep peacefully. In his hand, her latest drawing. A house, 3 people, 1 son, crayon words written at the bottom. Our beginning. Then a final voiceover, calm and direct. If you suddenly discovered you had a child, what would you do? Would you walk away? Stand still? Or take 1 small step closer? A soft pause. Then, some people run from responsibility, others run toward it. The choice is always yours. Cut to black. Then 1 line fades in. But Lily's story isn't over yet.